Gisui, a typical introvert who drew adult manga just to live by, meets someone way out of his reach, but something very unexpected takes place as she is mentally very strange and refuses to leave. The story begins where we see an average apartment. Inside, we meet our protagonist, the introvert everyone doesn't care about. Right after his high school, he managed to rent this place, as it became difficult for him to even interact with his own parents. He seemed to be busy with a scene from a manga, but it turns out he has confidence in himself for not being a good drawer. His life is miserable. He is scraping change just to be able to live in this shabby apartment, which has a 30,000 yen rent. Despite all his effort, he relies on his second job a lot as well. Being able to buy a 20,000 yen stove was a blessing for him, but without any air conditioner, he is sure that he will die because of heat stroke. Now, he was originally a passionate manga fan and made his own manga. However, it didn't gain any viewership or public attention. Now he tries to get lonely shut-ins to buy his disgusting adult manga that provides him enough to live by, but he does sometimes write original work as well. As his inner reflection goes wild, his eyes widen to see that this month 3 people downloaded his adult manga, and this puts him in a good mood. His art style is gloomy. That is the reason his original work was never appreciated. And not only that, his drawings were also pretty bad, but complaining about life is nothing new for him, and he himself knows that he has no worth or value to anyone, and perhaps he will die off like this. He strolls outside for some fresh air, and his attention is caught by a cloud which somewhat resembled poop. Quickly, he takes out his old phone to take a picture and share it on his empty blog that no one cares about, but suddenly his doorbell goes off. He notices and reflects that he doesn't have any delivery nor does he have any pending television bill, but as he opens the door, he meets a beautiful girl with golden hair, wearing a jacket in the scorching heat, and glaring at him with her almost dead and empty eyes. As a few seconds go by, both of them just stare at each other, and he wonders to himself if she is a boy or girl. She breaks the ice and asks him if he is Gisui Seijin. His eyes widen to hear this, and the girl starts to search her bag and brings out a notebook that she holds in front of her and tells him, "Are you the author of this manga right here?" With a serious tone, she tells him that she is in love with his manga, internal and external development. As he reflects and recognizes the cover, he is sure that it is in fact his manga, and he remembered that no one really bought a physical copy since it was never that successful. The mysterious girl tells him that this masterpiece had no physical copies anywhere. As he realizes that she is in fact a scary fan, but is also his first, she repeats her question about him being the author, and something ticked him off. How in God's good earth was she able to pinpoint his exact location with ease? The girl starts to mention how she tracked him. On one of his online blog posts, he took a picture where in the background his window was visible, and she was able to locate a supermarket near him and just slowly managed to find the opposing building, and with a threatening tone, she asks if he is the author she is looking for. Gisui panics inside his head, thinking about the obsession level to find someone with such details, and he figures that it is best to just answer and sign whatever she wants and send her off for good. He is sure that she won't go anywhere until her answers are found out by her. He replies with a firm tone that he is Gisui Seijin, and the girl's face brightens up to hear this, and her mysterious aura disappears, and she starts to praise his work, letting him know that she has been reading this manga for a long time and has gone through it hundreds of times, and she always wondered what type of person the author of this manga is. He thanks her, thinking to himself that this interaction is now over and he can just go back now. The girl kept staring at him, without moving an inch. With a shaking voice, Gisui asks her if she lives far and if she is going to go back, and the girl tells him that she lives in Tottori. Gisui is left speechless to hear this, as Tottori was very far from where he lives, and asks if she took a train to come here, and she replies that she took a bus and started to travel around 8 p.m., and arrived here at around 8 a.m. Altogether, it took her 12 hours. As she said this, she told him that her back hurts. With a wary look, he asked her if she had anything else she wanted to do here, but interrupting him, she tells him that she came all this way just to meet her favorite author. Mocking himself, He asks if he was that great of a person for her to travel all this way just to meet a nobody, and the girl just kept staring at his face. The glare was so intense that it felt like she was staring at his soul. She didn't blink or make any other action except standing there still, and with a weak and trembling voice, he asked if she wanted to come inside. Exclaiming thank, she rushes inside, without a worry of anything. Deep down, Gasui was wary of her, thinking that she is the type of girl who would just go inside without any question, and was slightly happy to have a girl as well. With slight blushes, he stood there, and the girl asked him if she could take off her jacket, and he offered to help. As she was taking off the jacket, Gasui saw something that left him speechless and shocked. On the wrist of the girl were deep marks of harm that indicated that she herself inflicted them, and perhaps she was at such a stage of life where she just wanted to end everything. As his entire perspective changed, he tells her to sit wherever she would like, and both of them sit down, without a single word. Both kept staring at each other, and finally that girl introduces herself as Saitu Megumi, and Gasui tried to hold a conversation, but the girl kept saying yes and asked if he was busy drawing manga. He points his finger, telling her that if she is a fan, she should know that he draws adult manga as well. He said this with a firm tone. She replies that she once tried to read that type of content as well, but it wasn't very interesting to her. It seemed like she had no intention of leaving, and silence filled the room, and she tells him not to mind her, and keep drawing what he was doing since it is his job, and puts food on the table. Hearing this, he tries to maintain his dignity, and tells her that this is just for pocket change and nothing else. Suddenly, all the cheerful talks end as she asks him a serious question, whether he was bullied or not. She reflects that in his manga, she feels as if she is the main protagonist, and every single thing is related to her. She was not bullied, rather she was left alone all the time. No one knew if she was there or not, and she herself was in a space where she was there, but no one was ready to acknowledge her existence. She starts to flip the pages and tells him that in his manga, the main protagonist was able to find a happy ending, which in her view was a disgrace as that is nothing like reality. She has no happy moment in her life, and in the end of her life, she will surely have the saddest last moments. Hearing all this, he remembered the thing that he just saw on her wrist and replies that he was also not bullied, rather, he was isolated so much that he was not able to make any friend and wondered to himself if he even existed as well. Their conversation starts to take shape, but she adds and tells him that she is very hungry, and both end up eating ramen in the middle of their talk. Gasui was somewhat troubled by her constant stares. To conclude, Megumi is an 18-year-old dropout, and it seems like she is dangerous, and secretly just holding on to her life, and there she said something very disturbing and painful. Since teachers and students ignored me throughout, I just quit school, and after 1 week of attendance, I thought of hanging myself right there. He sat down to draw, she stood right next to him and stared at everything that he did. With a serious tone, she asked for his real name, and with slight blushes, he tells her that he is Yokoi Taku. And Megumi started to call him by his first name, and continued to mutter it with a smile but pitch-black dead eyes. It seemed like she enjoyed being with him and would repeatedly lean on him. Gasui was somewhat happy and wary at the same time, and he asked her if she wanted to go somewhere, adding that she came all this way to Tokyo, surely there must be some places that she is interested in visiting at least once. And with a cold tone, she tells him that there is literally nowhere that she would like to go, and she hates going to places where there are a lot of people. With a trembling voice, he asked her if she was just going to stick at this house for the time being and not get bored, and she replied that she was enjoying a lot by just watching him draw. He added that maybe she would like to play a game since he had no TV or anything, and the room itself was pretty tight for the both of them to easily stretch out their legs. She told him that watching him was much more enjoyable than playing a game, and she kept staring at every single thing that he was doing, without budging. It seemed like she was observing a pet of hers. At night, Gasui noticed that it was time for him to do the newspaper delivery, and told Megumi to decide if she was going to go back home or not. As he told her that he would be leaving, she remained silent despite him asking if she knew when her bus would leave, and with a depressing voice she muttered to herself if she should leave. It seemed like she didn't really want to go, and Gasui added that he must have thought that she had some sort of arrangement, and she told him that there was nothing that she had to do. With a clear voice and determined expression, she told him that she couldn't go home. Understanding everything, he told her that she would have to wait here while he made the delivery, and she told him that she could just kill time with her phone. It was clear that she wanted to stay there, and Gasui himself considered himself to be just a little too lucky, adding that it was his first time being together with a girl this long. She quickly reminded him that she needed to message her parents as well, and as she sat down and tapped on her phone, it was almost time for him to leave. He saw her off, and as he made his way down and brought out the bicycle, he glanced at his window, and Megumi was waving to him. Somewhat, he was a bit happy for her to be there, but deep down he was worried that she was going to end herself there. With an annoying sound of Gasui's motorcycle, he made deliveries one by one, and by the morning, he was exhausted and ready to just sleep in and rest. But as he saw his window, he saw Megumi standing there waiting for his return. Seeing this, he had a burst of happiness inside, realizing that someone was actually waiting for his return. As he made his way back home, Megumi was so happy that she found it hard to contain the happiness, and waved back and forth at him. The first thing they both said to each other were kind exchanges of greetings. Hearing this, Megumi told him that there was no need for Gasui to greet her. He asked if she was able to get a good look at the surroundings and neighborhood since it was a good time to venture outside, but with a serious tone, she told him that she waited for him there the whole time. His eyes widened as she was standing there for hours upon hours, and he asked if she came back inside, and she replied that she had no idea when he was going to return. It seemed that Gasui was late, and he reminded her that he told Megumi that he'd be back by 5, and she replied that he never said that. Instead he told her that he'd be back by 2. As it seemed like Megumi still had troubles inside her head, with a troubled voice, he apologized. As they sat down, it was clear as day for Gasui to realize that she was sleepy, and all the standing and waiting took a toll on her. Gasui got up to prepare some futon for them. He told her that he only had one futon, and she could have it since her back hurt, and he would be sleeping with a blanket. Gasui noticed that throughout their conversation, she would always answer with yes and no, and she never used any phrases like I will think about it or what should I do. Both lay there, and Gasui decided to face the other way to avoid awkwardness, and Megumi just kept staring at him from behind. Although Gasui was shy, he enjoyed it somewhat. In the morning, Gasui got up all sleepy and glanced at Megumi, who was sleeping soundly without any worry in the world. As he noticed, he could not believe that such a pretty girl was sleeping right next to him, and he decided to check his mobile to find a comment on his empty blog. A person was telling him to do more NTR manga. As he thanked him for his previous purchases, he decided to work on that, but he couldn't help but notice that there was a strange smell coming from where Megumi was sleeping. He strolled around her to check, and suddenly he saw something that shook his core completely. There it seemed like Megumi was bleeding from her hand. Quickly, he flipped the blanket away to check, and there she was lying after hurting herself, bleeding intensively. He panicked and tried to wake Megumi up, and she grunted in pain. He told her, "Why did you do it?" and with a shaking voice yelled that he must call the ambulance. Megumi, with a firm tone and serious face, told him that this much wouldn't kill her or anything. As he calmed down a bit, she asked him to just help her with some band-aids. Carefully, he patched her up, and she apologized and asked him if she had done something that she should not have done, and added that he had been quiet. Her reason for attempting that was simple. Yesterday, she was so happy that it was ages ago that she ever felt this way, and the time she was enjoying was about to end because she was about to fall asleep, and this caused her to have flashbacks of the past that made her anxious. She was sure that the moment she were to wake up, there would be nothing but painful memories waiting for her, so Megumi told him that she thought it would be better to just end herself while she was enjoying herself the most. He could not imagine the things going on inside her head, and with a painful and sad voice he told her that he could not picture the person he just met would do something so horrible thing, and she repeated, "Tells him sorry," and told him that she did this because if there is a time when she could not keep it up anymore, and have no other choice but to end it all, she would want to use a blade that she is familiar with. As Gusui was stunned to hear these words, she bowed down her head and apologized. As he observed her, he told her that it was time that she contacted her family, and she told him that they would just end up putting her in a hospital, and he told her to hand over her mobile, and he would take care of it. Gusui was shocked that he could not help but slump down from the thing he witnessed. He stretched his hands out, and she grabbed them. He himself reflected that he had flashbacks that were so painful that it made him want to end it all as well, but there were many potholes in the way that made him rethink and strive for living, and he was always fearful of such a thing. However, this all does not work on her, as she is ready to just get up and do it tomorrow. As he stared at her, he knew that it would do no good to just blame her. It is obvious that she was pushed to this point, and giving any parental advice will be a serious bad thing. Gusui gets up, and with a harsh voice he told her that when he and she would decide to sleep, all she is to do is sleep and nothing else. With a fearful voice, she replied, "Okay, we will just sleep together." And Gusui realized that he needs to think carefully of every step he takes now, or she would just let herself bleed out. He is ready to monitor her when they are sleeping together, and he starts to imagine himself being inside her shoes and lists out things that she could be going through, from self-hatred to depression and other serious mental things. And with a sigh, he controls himself and tells her to change the topic for now and tells her that he will be going to the supermarket, and would she like to hang around? Later, both of them walk side by side, and he told her that it is pointless to talk about it, as it is best to take it slow, and it is very refreshing to take a small walk when you are feeling down. He decided to make her feel at home, and he started to list the things that he enjoys and does. With a finger point, he shared that over there is a swimming pool that he loves and asked if she can swim as well, and she replied that she has never swam, and he broke the ice and shared that he takes a bath there for just 460 yen every time to save a ton of money. Megumi exclaimed to find this out. As their conversation began, she shared that her brother have expensive showers as well that he enjoys, and their talk leads Megumi to share that she brought 30,000 yen with herself for food, and with a serious tone asked him if he would like to buy a shower head for himself. Shocked to hear this, that she is ready to just hand out all her money, an awkward silence fills their atmosphere, and he reminded her that they are here for shopping, and they started to move. On their way, a child was playing with a dog, and the dog changed its direction and ran towards Megumi. As she noticed it, she kicked the dog hard, that it flew over and landed while grunting in some pain. Gusui was blown away by this, and the little kid ran off to her mother complaining about what Megumi had just done. And she just stood there without saying a single thing, with an angry expression. After the shopping, they got back home, and immediately, Megumi started to wipe her shoes. As she started to share the reason why she can't stand dogs, in her parents' house they had an indoor dog when she was little, and there was a cage. The cage was big enough to hold a child, and Gusui already got an idea of what she went through. Whenever Megumi would mess up anything, even if it was a small thing, her father would throw her in the cage, and every time she would be locked in, she had to crawl into the cage. The dog would always have a look of triumph as if it was laughing at her, and her luck, the dog would easily take her place and just forget her, stinking there for days. She adds that people are so condescending. You'd think that humans would be treated better than a dog, but for Megumi that was never the case. In that house, she was treated and considered to be lower than a dog. Gusui asks her if she hates dogs, and with a sad voice she tells him that she loathes them, and whenever they would make a face of laughing, it would make her sick, and the way they breathe as well. As Gusui heard this, it was clear that her parents started the unbearable pain that she endured all her life, and he asks if she kicks them all like that, and she replies that she only does that if they are too close to her. As she said this, she shows her scars and tells him that one time she kicked another dog, but it was bigger and bit her hard, which even left her with a scar. As she wiped her shoes, he asks if she is done with the shoes, and she replies that she needs to wipe it harder for at least 24 minutes. It seemed that whenever she would kick a dog, she cleans her shoes for 45 minutes. Gasuye tells her that he will be going to draw manga if she is going to be that busy. As he sat down, he remembers that today he was going to focus on the theme that has been selling good, NTR. Strangely, he himself is not sure what that means and gives it a search, finding that NTR is the feeling of pleasure one would get when their loved one is stolen away, and Gasuye exclaims that this genre is too deep and evil, but to put food on his table, he needs to do this. And time went on, and he draws panel after panel, only to sense that Megumi was standing all this time behind him, sniffing him. As he found her there, he panicked and asked her how long she had been standing there for, and she replied that for around 10 minutes. She praises his artwork, telling him that the pattern and style of the pen has improved a lot in these books as compared to the original works. He gets back to his work, and as always she stood there staring at every single thing that he was doing, and asked Gasuye if he was ever going to work on the original project. He spins around and tells her that they are just not profitable, and he has barely been able to make a dime from them, but Megumi interrupts him, saying that she will just buy everything that he will print. He reflects that there were only 2 buyers of his manga, and both were her, and he starts to point out how his newer project didn't seem to affect her in any way. She ends all the arguments by saying that it is really painful to be different in today's society, and Gasuye himself was somewhat touched by these words. He looked back at her and told her that there might be something that she can enjoy. As she exclaimed, Gasuye sat her in front of the computer, and she was so invested in the story that she kept reading every single line of it. Suddenly, she let out a swear at one of the characters in the story and angrily told him to get lost, and continued to read. After some time, it seemed that the story moved her to tears. As it seemed like she finished reading it, she decided to reread it once again and started to yell her inner thoughts. Time went on, and while shouting, she leaned on him, telling him that she is ready to buy everything, and he can take all the money that she has. It seemed that she read it 6 whole times. He tells her that it will be available in a week, so until then she needs to wait around, and the thought of waiting a week was very immense on her, and she starts to scratch her head aggressively, telling him that she is going to go crazy during that waiting time. He tries hard to calm her down, and tells her that he might be able to finish it before Friday. As Megumi heard this, she started to meditate and tell herself, "I'll try to calm down until Friday," and consistently tells herself to have patience. Out of curiosity, he asks her if she ever read the latest publications, and there are many good manga there as well, and she replies that she did read many others, but all of them didn't really resonate with her. To sum up, she tells him that all of them feel like worlds where there is nobody like her. She tells him that the manga that he recommended on his blog were boring as well, and she felt that they were recommended by a different person. It seemed like she was examining him throughout, and she would always reject anything that is different from her. As he started to work again, he asked her if coming here was expensive, and she replied that the fare of the bus was only 3,000 yen, and he was surprised to hear this, adding that she traveled for almost half the price, and she brought out a welfare and healthcare notebook which allows her to pay half. As he took the notebook, he checked and noticed that there was a diagnosis for a mental disorder, and that proved the fact that she is very unstable. As he told her that she can return whenever she wants, with a beautiful expression, she tells him that she will be staying here and won't be going home. As Gasuye realized that she won't be going back soon, he pondered to himself if she ever says polite words like, "please," or if it is okay. Her regular routine continued. She stood there completely unfazed and stared at everything that he did. She would always smile at him as he worked. Finally, he tells her that it is pretty hard to draw and write the story when she would just stare at him, and he asks her to look the other way if it is okay. As she started to look at the wall, he exclaimed that what he meant was that she shouldn't be so impatient for the manga and try doing something else. After Gasuye delivered the newspaper, it was time to sleep, and Gasuye tells her that it will be only 1 futon, and that she will not harm herself in any way. As they both lay down, and she smiled all the way, Gasuye himself was having double thoughts but reminded himself that this is for monitoring purposes only. And as she slept, she clung to him like a baby, so deep asleep that she thought of him as a pillow. Up in the series, we will learn that she can't forgive anyone who harms her in any way, and her only source of relaxation becomes Gasuye. both become closer, and painful memories come to light, and scars heal slower than they are inflicted.